Good evening. Thank you for joining us for NBC 16 at 5:30. I'm Jacqueline Mazer. There are now 1,300 coronavirus cases and 44 deaths. Oregon Health Authority announced 83 new cases and 6 deaths. 3 deaths in Multnomah County, 2 in Linn County, and 1 in Benton County. All victims had underlying medical conditions. Meantime, Washington, Multnomah, and Marion counties have the bulk of cases with 848. Taking a closer look at numbers in our region, Benton stands at 21 cases, including 2 deaths. Linn County added 3 more cases, bringing the total to 49, including 4 deaths now. Linn County added 2 more cases and has a total of 34, including 1 suspected death. Deschutes County added 5 more cases and reaches 50 cases now. Douglas County remains at 12 cases. No cases so far in Coos County. The 2 new cases in Lane County are a 66-year-old man and a 71-year-old man from Eugene, Springfield area. The 71-year-old is in the hospital but is not in the ICU or intubated. The 66-year-old is at home and recovering. Public health officials say social distancing is working in battling the spread of the virus.
We have made such an impact and come so far in the time that we have been observing the governor's orders and practicing that physical distancing that it would really be a shame to see that go away and that progress to go away because we're having such great weather and people are going outside.
8 individuals in Lane County have fully recovered from coronavirus and 19 people are recovering at home. Davis says continue to maintain a 6-foot distance from others if you have to go outside. He also suggests wearing a mask. And if you're wearing and making masks for the public, Lane County is now accepting donations at their Delta Warehouse donation drop-off site. Meanwhile, on the coast, there has been growing concern that testing kits at Bay Area Hospital aren't available. We addressed that concern with Kelly Dion from Bay Area Hospital. She says they have an adequate amount of testing kits available for now, but says there is criteria that has to be met for a test to be done.
The problem is it's not a test that can be resulted here. So it needs specialized equipment that isn't in this part of the state. We have to send it up to the state lab. So they have criteria of what tests they will accept.
As of right now, Dion says the general public must be admitted with the criteria met to get tested. But for those in a nursing home, the threshold is lower. Those in nursing homes can get tested without having to be admitted to the hospital. She says she wants people to understand healthcare facilities are working together as a community to better serve the public. Well, with school closures extended until the rest of the academic year, the superintendent of schools in Coos Bay says the Oregon Department of Education's statewide mandate, Graduation Pathways 2020, gives districts guidance on credit for high school seniors. NBC 16's Lauren Negretti reports.
Now that they have clarity from the state, Superintendent Brian Trendle says the first step is making sure teachers have their grade books updated to the March 13th closure.
Seniors who were passing as of that time are going to be given a passing grade for the semester.
The Oregon Department of Education says Graduation Pathways 2020 maintains the 24 credit requirement for the Oregon diploma. Second semester transcripts for students on track for an A through D grade will read pass, and ODE says an F or equivalent. The seniors shall be awarded an incomplete or withdrawal status with opportunities to earn a pass, preferably by the end of the school year, but this can extend until August 31st, 2020. Trendle says for those needing to make up a credit,
either do that through our normal credit recovery, which is online, or we'll do it through a paper pencil packet.
Trendle says staff will do a transcript evaluation to see who does and who doesn't meet graduation requirements and notify families. With the state's plan for seniors in place, he says they're waiting for possible adjustments for students in grades 9 through 11. For now, Trendle says they're moving forward with their plan for distance learning starting April 13th. Reporting in Coos County, I'm Lauren Negretti.
Schools in Douglas County are working to make sure all of their students are getting the materials they need. This, as technology isn't always as readily available in rural areas. Some students might not be able to take advantage of online learning systems. School districts like Sutherland are making sure no student is left behind because of a lack of access to technology.
On the low-tech end, for students who do not have access, we will be using packet materials, but at this point we're currently working to find out exactly how many students do not have connectivity, and we're doing our best to get that in their hands.
The district has issued nearly 200 Chromebooks to its students. They also have hotspots available to students who need it. Well, Springfield Public Schools is allowing students to stop by and pick up their belongings, but of course, remember social distancing. All schools were open today for students to pick up their stuff. Schools will be open again on Friday for specific grades. The details found on our webpage, NBC16.com. This upcoming Monday and Tuesday, all grades are welcome to pick up their things from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. All right, well, moving on to a first look at weather. NBC 16's Heather Melendez joins us now. I like your orange. You got the memo.
Thank you. I was just going to say, I'm trying to think of a caption for our pictures. Earlier, Jacqueline and I took a picture with a couple of the girls wearing orange today, but aren't you glad that we brought you the news today? But we're seeing some drier conditions today. We're seeing plenty of sunshine all across Oregon for today. We're seeing clear skies as well. Not a cloud in sight, which is allowing us to warm back up into the 50s for the next couple of days. We're seeing some upper 70s along the I-5 corridor and 78 for Roseburg, being a valley, trapping all those daytime highs. If you're out on the coast, you're seeing some upper 50s, but as we head into the nighttime, we'll start to cool down, warming back to the 40s for most of western Oregon. We'll see some dry conditions tomorrow, so if you plan on walking your dog, perfect day to do so. Another 70-degree day, but I'll let you know how dry we'll stay in my full weather forecast. Jacqueline?
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Well, another 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment last week. In total, the U.S. government reports 16 million who are without a job due to the coronavirus pandemic. It was the second largest number of initial unemployment claims in U.S. history since tracking started in 1967. Last week, Oregonians filed 100,700 unemployment claims. In just 3 weeks, the Oregon Employment Department has received a total of 269,000 claims. Multnomah, Washington, and Lane County saw the largest number of claims. Hotels and restaurants continue to see the greatest number of claims since Governor Brown's stay-at-home order. The Oregon Department of Employment says they have hired more staff to manage the record claims. To file an online claim for unemployment benefits, go to oregon.gov/employ or call that number on your screen as well, 1-877-345-3484. Massive layoffs are hitting Swanson Group. The forest product company is laying off around 300 people at its headquarters in Glendale. Company officials say they are reducing production in Springfield and laying off about 150 people starting tomorrow. Swanson says the Roseburg stud mill is still running, but is now down to 80 hours a week instead of 100. Well, pending sales of homes are feeling the effects of the coronavirus pandemic in Eugene, Springfield. Regional multiple listing service numbers show pending sales dropped by 16% in March compared to March of last year. The first week of April shows a 24% reduction of pending sales compared to the same week in 2019. Longtime home builder Mike Ganson says his remodeling business has dropped to zero. He's still building a few homes, however, and adds building supplies for now are good.
When the light switch does come back on and we all have to go back to work all at once, will there be shortages? Quite possibly. That's what I'm a little concerned about.
While pending house sales are down, Eugene realtor Marcia Edwards says listings for properties rose 22% last month compared to March 2019. She adds showing off houses in the age of coronavirus means more virtual tours and using social media platforms.
So you skip that step and you go straight online. But we've got great access to people. We've got virtual tours. We've got floor plans, even of used homes, so we can show people what they'd be getting into. So we eliminate or minimize the homes they enter.
Edwards says housing is not the epicenter of the current recession, not like it was in 2008. She predicts real estate will lead the recovery once the worst of the COVID-19 outbreak has passed. Well, coronavirus is adding pressure to many of our local healthcare services, including addiction treatment centers. NBC 16's Perry Elia Durrani checked in with Serenity Lane to see how things are going.
In these uncertain times, addiction treatment provider Serenity Lane wants the community to know it's still receiving patients. The organization says that's especially important now that stay-at-home orders are in effect, since people who ordinarily feel isolated can feel even more vulnerable to addiction.
So we're seeing more and more people who've been through treatment before who fear greatly for their ability to maintain their sobriety. And some of them are coming back into treatment because they've relapsed.
Kern says they've implemented a lot of new safety precautions. Patient beds have been halved to allow for distance. New patients are isolated for 48 hours, and new residential patients are told to stay in their rooms for 2 weeks. Even visitors are required to answer a few questions and submit to a temperature check.
97.4.
To reduce social distancing, the treatment center is also conducting their counseling sessions remotely, something privacy laws restricted until the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment with doing this on a computer versus doing it in person, and there's a little bit of an additional risk that patients can feel like they're taking.
Despite the concerns over privacy, Smith says patients have been adapting to the new platform, some even using it to support their peers outside of meetings.
It's forcing us as counselors to become stronger and better counselors, and when we get on the other side of this, I think that's going to do nothing but help our patients.
And on that other side, both Kearns and Smith say telehealth has a promising future.
We're going to be able to reach people that aren't close to our outpatient offices through telehealth services that we wouldn't have been able to reach before.
A moment of hope that challenges brought by COVID-19 can bring us into an even brighter future. Reporting in Coburg, I'm Perry Elliott Durrani.
Serenity Lane are still in need of face masks and volunteers. If you're looking to help, there's more information on their website and Facebook page. Well, Women's Space is continuing to serve victims and survivors of domestic abuse through the pandemic. CEO Julie Wiesman says that social isolation can be especially dangerous for victims of domestic abuse. She says getting help is harder than ever for victims stuck inside with their abuser.
Isolate, control, and limit access. And so what happens is that in a time like this with the shelter-in-place order is that survivors and their families just really have no outlet. It's not even safe for them to pick up the phone to call out.
In an effort to make it safer for people to reach out for help, Women's Space is working on a safe chat feature on their website. Additionally, Wiseman says this is the time for the community to step up and help their neighbors when they suspect domestic abuse is occurring.
And now that we're all sheltering in place, that you as a neighbor might hear violence and abuse happening in one of the homes around you. And when you do, call the police. Don't just ignore it. Like, literally, this might be a life-saving thing that you can do.
Wiesman says you should never try to intervene in a domestic abuse situation yourself. Women's Space is still offering their 24-hour crisis assistance line. You can also call for advice on how to handle a situation. Coos County public health officials are receiving an emergency tent. Public health emergency manager Philip Nell applied for a state Homeland Security grant, which was awarded in October. With the grant money, he purchased a Western shelter tent, which will be used for any emergency response operations in which a pop-up shelter is needed.
It can be used as a freestanding incident command center at any place in the county. It can be used as emergency sheltering, as well as a first aid station or a medical aid station, any of those emergency functions.
The timing of the tent arriving is a coincidence, but it will come in handy if Coos County sees a surge in coronavirus patients. Again, though, as of now, Coos County has 0 cases of COVID-19.